You are listening to Exploring Anime with Friends, a JoeMama for Real podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and all major podcasting networks. I'm your host, JoeMama! And today's friend is my wife and co-host, Sarah. Say hello to everyone, Sarah.
Hi, everyone.
Awesome. How's it going today?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Can't complain.
Excellent. Are you excited for today's episode?
I'm very excited for today's episode.
All right, so let's just dive right in.
Let's do this.
Today we'll be exploring the world of Reborn as a vending machine. Now I wander the dungeon. An isekai fantasy with tons of humor throughout, released in July of 2023. First, we'll be taking a look at our main characters, Boxxo and Llamas. Afterwards, we will take a glance at some of the many different forms of Boxxo. And after that, we will look at some of the many different friends of Boxxo. And then we'll just cover some of the missions that Llamas and Boxxo go on together. And if you haven't guessed by now, Boxxo is a vending machine. A person who was reincarnated as a vending machine in another world. Oh no, yes you can. Like this, I mean, let's just talk about
so beautiful.
how absurd this is. Like,
this is amazing.
What was your initial reaction when you saw this title pop up on Crunchyroll as we were just scrolling through randomly looking for unique stuff?
Unique is definitely the word. The first thing I saw, of course, wasn't the title. It was the picture. And I saw this, like, vending machine with eyes. And I was like, wait, what? And then I saw the title and I was like, wait, what? It was just, oh my gosh. This person, the writer for this, kudos. Kudos for picking such an obscure, random thing.
Yeah, no, and, well, I mean, I guess we have to start right at the beginning.
Yes, we do.
Dude is a vending machine fanatic.
He's an
enthusiast. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the day Dude died?
He's literally just, like, on a little motorcycle or something, and there's this truck in front of him. It's always a truck. And this truck has a vending machine, and it's really wobbly. Like, they're on, like, a freaking, like, mountain or something. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where he's going. And the vending machine's wobbly. He's thinking, oh, no, that poor vending machine's gonna, like, fall off. And then he freaking crashes. And it's like, that's it. That's how Dude dies.
Crashes with the vending machine.
The vending machine.
I'm not sure whether Dude tried to catch the vending machine as it was falling off, or whether the vending machine crashed into him. But the next thing you know, he's waking up in another world, and he's got the little digital screen in front of him, and he's a vending machine.
He's literally a vending machine.
And walk us through some of those opening moments of like, him coming to that realization.
Well, I mean, he's just, like, shocked, first, of course, because who wouldn't be? He realizes, though, that he's been isekai'd. Like, he gets the phrase. And he also, like, realizes that he can't actually, like, speak because he's a vending machine.
Or he can't move, but then at the same time, he's like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. This is my passion.
He's, like, in the middle of, like, Nowheresville. Like, there's, like, a little lake of water, and, like, that's it near him. And he's, like, so excited, and it's just like, what is happening right now?
And he starts fooling around with his inventory, and he realizes that the points that he has are keeping him alive and everything. And then he's like, okay, I've got enough points to survive for 10 days or something like that. As he's sitting there, and he's like, and it looks like I can convert coins into points, so every time someone buys something from me, it prolongs my life.
Perfect.
Yes.
But he's in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere, in front of a lake. And wait, oh look, there's a frogman.
There's a frogman.
Nice, this world has frogmans. And hello there, because that's one of the 7 things he can say.
It's like a couple different things he can say, and it's like, hello there, too bad. And it's like, then that's it.
You won a reward.
Yeah.
So he talks to the frogman, and the frogman don't like it.
Well, the frogman doesn't really get it, I don't think.
Starts wailing on it with the club and calls other frogmen. But then Boxxo starts to look through a way. We're calling him Boxxo. He doesn't get this name yet, but this is Boxxo.
This is Boxxo.
And he's looking through a way to survive, and he suddenly realizes he can get a blessing.
Yay!
So what does he do with that?
It gives him a shield.
Yeah, it gives him a barrier.
But it's like, it's amazing. It's not just like, I have a shield now. It's, I have a barrier, and I can dictate what comes in and out.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool, and eventually the barrier is able to. It is draining his points that he can use to stay alive.
Yeah.
But eventually that barrier just kind of wards off the frogmen, and they give up because they realize, oh, the frog fiends. And they give up, and Boxxo's like, oh no, so what's gonna happen? Like, who's gonna show up next? And now we enter our second main character, because really we kind of have two main characters with this one. Talk to us a little about Llamas.
Llamas is great. She's been blessed with, like, might, but she isn't great at using it. Like, she's super strong, but she's kind of clumsy. She's also, which is wonderful in a main character, she's a genuinely good and kind person. She's putting others before her a lot.
She's a very sweet personality, and when she sees Boxxo there, she runs into Boxxo, and she's looking, and she is the one who names Boxxo eventually. I think by the end of the first episode is when she gives Boxxo the name, because she's tired of calling it you.
Yeah.
So she starts calling it Boxxo after that. She quickly figures out, like, one of the things is, insert coin here, or something like that. I forget the exact phrases. On Boxxo realizes he can change his inventory, and she comes to the conclusion that she can use a silver coin, and she gets this creamy corn soup, and she loves it immediately. And she just eats to her heart content, which she can put a fair amount away, and she falls asleep inside of Boxxo's barrier as he protects her for the night. The next day, she wakes up, and she's like, I'm going to take you back to the village with me. And she just effortlessly picks up this giant vending machine like it's nothing.
Which was surprising, because you didn't know that she had this, like, blessing of might yet. So it's like, she just grabs him and we're like, huh?
Yeah, no. So, and she carries him back to the village, and she shows him off. She shows him to the guards there. She's calling it a magic artifact, but she knows it has a personality. Because it uses its different phrases to communicate with her. And give us those phrases real quick, Sarah.
All right, so there's hello there.
And which comes to mean yes. Everyone who comes to talk to Boxxo realizes hello there is a substitute for yes also.
Next one is too bad.
Which also substitute for no.
You can even win a reward. You win. Thank you very much. I look forward to your next visit. Or I look forward to serving you again. And then the last one is please insert coins.
And with all of those, just those few phrases, Llamas and Boxxo literally come up with like a full language for them to communicate back and forth to each other, which is kind of insane. She takes the time. You can already tell that it's a close friendship, despite the fact that it's a vending machine. A lot of what we see, yes, there is a story, there is a plot, there is a goal that's being worked towards that is a little more tangible than just exploring the countryside. One of the things that you're also focusing on is the relationship of Boxxo and Llamas, right?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because he's a vending machine. He cannot say anything beyond those quotes, and the way they're able to, like, establish a communication, even if it's like her asking questions and him doing the yes or no kind of answers, it's still a really strong way to communicate for them.
She brings him back to the village. He gets regular customers with the two guards that are guarding the village. And Boxxo quickly finds out, oh, we're located on the inside of a dungeon. Apparently, despite the fact that there's a sky and everything, this dungeon has different stratospheres, and it has different environments inside of it. So Boxxo learns that from there. And Boxxo uses the income that he makes from the village because the villagers really latch on to Boxxo pretty quickly. They all love Boxxo. Boxxo's replenishing his inventory, adding new things. He's adding hearty soups. He's adding beverages, sports drinks, different things that could be used. And Boxxo eventually levels up into where Boxxo can use different forms. We're going to go into some of them. We're not going to go into every last form, but one of my favorite forms is one of the ones that we see later on. Boxxo, after like the second or third level up, can turn into like a portable car wash.
Yeah.
Like full of the suds, and can turn into a washing machine. And I think even a dryer. He uses the different sud and the spray to basically help people clean things off, to spray down children who are playing in it. Like
power washing the bad guys.
Power washing the bad guys away. There's so many different uses of that. What's one of your favorite ones?
I mean, just even the things that make the people's life simpler, because this is a fantasy setting. They don't have all the luxuries that we have. Even like the simple things of like having access to the shampoos and the conditioners and the body washes and all that. I thought that was pretty nice just to make living better.
Well, yeah, and that kind of brings us to some of the awkward moments of the series, too. Like, because he, in his previous life, was such a huge fan of vending machines, he knows everything about every style of vending machine. He knows there were clean air ones that provided oxygen at some point in time. He knows that there were some that were just little boxes that dispensed balloons. That knows that there were some that produced sanitary items or items that help not spreading diseases while having intercourse. Like, yeah, at a certain point in time, he can turn into any machine that kind of looks like it. So he could become a gas pump that he uses.
It's kind of a gas pump is kind of a vending machine
that he uses to spray down enemies to light them up. Man, there are so many different things, and Boxxo even becomes vending machines that distribute magazines and the like that. Talking about another moment where he rescues a damsel in distress by providing magazines. Anything else you want to say about the many forms of Boxxo?
Really,
candy and balloons
and all sorts. I mean, we covered most of it.
Jukebox becomes a jukebox in the later parts of the season, so that he can play music when they're having their little festivals and everything. And we're talking about anything that you've ever pictured a vending machine or a vending machine size, style.
Something you just put money into and get something out of.
Like Boxxo can become that. And really, there were a lot of moments where it's like, wow, that was a vending machine at one point in time. And I never fact-checked it. I never fact-checked any of the ones to
That's fair.
find out if there was an oxygen vending machine.
I mean,
shortly after the war.
It kind of made sense, though.
So there's so many different ones of them. The many forms of Boxxo is just kind of amazing. Anything you want to add? Any final one that you want to highlight?
I mean, he just, not anyone in particular, but he can just do so many foods, so many beverages. It's just, the amount of stuff he has access to is incredibly insane.
Hot food, cold food. A dry ice maker.
Dry ice. Why would we need that? But it's there. Why not?
An ice machine. We're talking about can make cup of noodles for everyone. And the best thing about all this stuff, the trash just disappears at the end.
Oh my gosh. I wish that was a real life thing. Literally any of the cups from the cup of noodles, gone. When they're done, it's just a little bit later, it just disappears.
Yeah, just completely disappears. And apparently, like, the detail work on the cups of soups and different various drinks that they have, apparently that's really detailed too, because that was pointed out to us by one of the many friends of Boxxo.
Yes.
If you like what you're hearing so far, be sure to watch this for yourself on Crunchyroll, home to over 1,000 anime, both subbed and dubbed. And remember to check us out on social media as well. Like, subscribe, and follow. But as I was mentioning before, one of the members of the Menagerie of Fools points out that there's very detailed artwork on all the packaging. Want to talk to us a little bit about him?
So the leader of the Menagerie of Fools, his name is Cariol. The Menagerie of Fools is basically an adventuring party that belongs to like a bigger fighters guild. They go around helping out the town, doing the deeds, fighting stuff, doing quests, all the good stuff.
They don't really help around the town. They
take hired jobs to pay. Oh, yeah, that's very fair. They're hired to. And basically that's what they do. They're not bad guys or anything, but the leader's a little shady. He's got a little bit of agenda, but it's not a bad agenda. It's just he wants to do things that benefit him.
Yeah, no, he definitely wants to do things that benefit him, but at the same time, can you blame him? Like, he's a mercenary. He's a hero for hire, shall we call it. And he's got a great team around him. They're probably the most elite team, despite the fact that they seem like a pack of misfits at first. They're probably the most elite team that the Fighters Guild provides. Talk to us about some of the other members, too. They're a very well-rounded group as a whole.
Definitely very well-rounded. The second in command is a water mage. You have... I think they're twins. I'm not sure it ever covers it. But they look the same and they just have different hair color.
And they're the scouts.
And
then you have she seems like a little girl. And this one we're actually going to give a name to or whatnot. She's the archer of the group. But she's also a very heavy eater as a whole.
Yes.
Talk to us a little about Shui.
You pretty much summed her up. She's an archer. She's a good archer. Obviously, to be in this kind of business, you have to be good. And she eats a lot.
Oh, yeah, no, she puts away more than the Menagerie of Fools does as a whole. And when they first meet Boxxo, the leader obviously wants his second in command to look at Boxxo, and she's like, no, there's nothing, there's no high-level magic going on here at all. This is probably a a soul that fused into whatever this is.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out all the mysteries of it. And the one girl, Shui, she don't care. She's like, it provides food? And she's like, here, take all my money.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, no, she puts away more than everyone else. And, well, I mean, there is one adventuring party that puts away almost as much as her. Let's talk about the Band of Gluttons a little.
They are so adorable.
What was their species again? They're not bear cats. They look like bear
Are they
cats.
Tasmanian tigers?
They're Tasmanian
They were
tigers.
Tasmanian
That's what it
tigers,
was.
Yeah.
And Boxxo runs into them much later on. As a matter of fact, he's away from Llamas at that point in time because there's a point when Boxxo actually crashes through to a lower dungeon and falls more or less along the path of the Band of Gluttons, and they have to figure it out. And they're not super bright as to what Boxxo is, but they do know that Boxxo has helped them extinguish flame skulls and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those things where it's kind of like definitely useful, and eventually Llamas catches up with them. The Band of Gluttons is a pretty fun crew as a whole, right?
Tasmanian devils, not tigers. I don't know.
Tasmanian devils, yes, there we go. And they both the Menagerie of Fools and the Band of Gluttons, report back to the head of the Fighters Guild, Mr. Bear.
Mr.
Talk to us a little about Director Bear.
He's literally a bear, and I want to hug him. He's a nice guy. He leads the Fighters Guild, and there's really not much to say about him. You don't really get a chance to see him in battle or anything, but he's doing a good job running the guild, so...
And the last character that I really want to highlight would be Hulame.
She's good,
And
yeah.
she's a very important character as a whole. She becomes probably the third most important character of the series.
Yeah.
Past at the point that she's introduced. And we'll kind of use this as a transition point to start talking about some of the missions.
Mm-hmm.
Because Boxxo gets abducted at one point in time by a band of thieves that already has Hulame kidnapped. They know that Boxxo has taken in a lot of coins, and they want to get the coins out of Boxxo. Mm-hmm. So talk to us about the opening interaction with Boxxo and Hulame.
So the thing about Hulame is she's a studier of, and probably a creator of, magical artifacts. So she's looking at this thing and she's like, I don't think you're just a magical artifact. And like almost immediately he jumps in with the hello there, and she's like, whoa, you can talk? That's not normal. Quicker than what Boxxo and Llamas did, Hulame and Boxxo established communication. She's figured things out faster. She's got the brain for this, is really what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
She's got the understanding, and she realizes that he's not from here. He's a soul from somewhere else that got put in this crazy vending machine, and it's just the whole thing. Just she loves it. She's a scientist. This is something she loves.
Yeah, she can't get enough of Boxxo. Boxxo saves her life. She helps save Boxxo's life too. There's a point in time when the whole building is crushing down on them because Llamas and the Menagerie of Fools show up to rescue Boxxo and Hulame, and the building starts to cave in. But Boxxo's able to save her and then give her oxygen inside the barrier, and then she's able to point out that, hey, look, that's a bag of gold. So they're able to stock up Boxxo with as much gold as possible to save Boxxo there too. And it really just kind of works out perfect. And Llamas this whole time has been trying to raise enough money to go to the upper stratum so that she can show Boxxo to Hulame.
Yeah.
So this is perfect at this point in time. That's really the first major action mission. That's where it goes from being a comedy to a little more of a fantasy adventure, in my opinion. Not that it's not full of comedy, but this is where the storyline starts to come in. And you see that the Menagerie of Fools are chasing these dungeon boss coins so that they can collect them all and they can gain a wish. And they invite Llamas and Boxxo and even Hulame to an extent to be part of the Menagerie of Fools, so that they can go around defeating other bosses in labyrinths.
I want to point out the main reason Llamas originally wasn't part of the Menagerie of Fools is this: she's clumsy. She couldn't really control her strength, but she got some straps put on her so she can carry Boxxo on her back, and it's almost like a night and day difference. What she needed was balance, and Boxxo's heaviness provides the balance, and now she's actually like throwing punches and being very effective in combat.
She wasn't clumsy. She couldn't adapt to her strength completely. So they make good additions. They're not full-time members of the Menagerie of Fools. They don't go everywhere with them. But whenever they're going on a dungeon run to take on the giant fire skeleton in one labyrinth, even at the end of the season, the Harvester of Souls. Well,
that was crazy.
We're not going to go too much into that because that was a big fight. That was the first time where it's kind of like, oh wow, there is a level of danger that has not been showed before the 11th episode of the season, that it's kind of like, wow, it really sets the tone for a second season that could potentially get darker, but at the same time could continue to go at a high-paced fantasy and take some of the emphasis off the comedy. But there still are plenty of funny moments, too, so I don't think it's going to go completely serious on us. Yeah. Because, like, just before that, there was the restaurant Illuminati comes into play. It's like...
It was so funny, just like they're in a dark room with like candlelight and like legit restaurant Illuminati is a thing. I'm a believer.
But Boxxo's a member of the
Boxxo's
restaurant Illuminati.
Yes.
They're not going against Boxxo. The first time that they come together, they're discussing the entrance of the chain restaurant Chains.
I absolutely was thrilled when they called the restaurant Chains and referred to it as a chain restaurant. I died. Oh my gosh, it was so funny.
Yeah, because it's going in and threatening to take away all their mom and pop restaurants.
Which I get.
Potentially hurt Boxxo too. So they meet together and they find a way to put Chains out of business.
Basically, Boxxo gives them amazing food and they're able to deduce what it's made out of. And so they copy it.
They definitely left the door open for Chains to reoccur, and I
hope so.
Reading some of the stuff, like Chains is going to be a recurring villain at some point in time, and I hope that we get a good solid 2 episodes worth of Chains in the second season.
Illuminati.
Yeah, but the restaurant Illuminati also makes it to where there's a all-you-can-eat contest to help draw people to the town after the town was completely rebuilt. Needless to say, Shui wins it. She barely beats out the Band of Gluttons, but no, not barely beats out. She beats out the Band of Gluttons, and she takes the title to win the prize of Boxxo for a day. And what she does, she goes back up to the higher levels of the dungeon to share Boxxo with the orphanage that she came from. So there's even despite the fact that there's a lot of action and comedy going on, there are some very heartwarming moments. And one of the reasons why we know this series is not going to get incredibly dark is that final closing scene of the season.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Should we talk about it?
Yes.
Yes, let's talk about it. We danced around some of the big action parts, but talk to us about the final minute of the first season.
So, who was with her? It was Lammas, Hulemi, and one other person.
Shui. Yeah.
Shui. Okay, I thought it was Shui. I wasn't sure. they're standing around Boxxo, Hulemi, Lammas, and Shui. And for whatever, I don't remember the reason, for whatever reason, they're like, Boxxo should get a kiss, basically.
Yeah, so Hulemi and Shui give Boxxo kisses. And
it's nothing crazy. It's just a peck. It's not like they're slobbering on him or nothing.
They're kind of like, Lammas, you should thank him too. But for Lammas, it's even like a bigger deal because they're sometimes like act like a couple.
This is a ship that I need to sail. Go ship, yes.
But yes, when Lammas is leaning in, she hesitates for a moment. They just push her into it, and she gives a big old kiss onto Boxxo, and they're both blushing together. It's like, oh my goodness, I don't know how this works, but like Vending Machine and like
I caught the spoiler. I know how it works, but I love it so much.
Boxxo has 3 waifus.
He does.
That's really what this comes down to. So overall, what is your impression of Vending Machine?
I think if you like isekai as a genre at all, you need to watch it.
It's a very good isekai.
It's so, like, the concept, the hijinks, it's so great.
And there is a legitimate storyline with it, too.
There
like,
is.
Honestly, I really appreciated this. Not that I'm trying to compare it to Campfire Cooking or Raising Kids. This was a lot better than both of them, in my opinion.
I think so, too, to be honest. And I really enjoyed Campfire Cooking.
Definitely looking forward to the second season of it.
Oh, definitely.
I'm really looking forward to it.
It's been announced, but there's no date yet.
It has been announced, but there's no date yet. So yeah, it's very touching, it's very funny, and there's actually a decent storyline too. Mm-hmm. Once again, we introduced you to Boxxo and Lammas, and then showed you the many forms of Boxxo and the many friends of Boxxo, and some of the adventures that Boxxo, Lammas, and Hulemi went on together. We hope you had as much fun exploring the world of Reborn as a Vending Machine, I Now Wander the Dungeon, as we did, and consider watching this anime. So if you like what you heard today, make sure you listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you stream your podcast. Listen to all of our JMill for Real podcasts. And hit us up on social media, like, subscribe, and follow. Once again, this was Exploring Anime with Friends. Let's explore together. And now for a word from our sponsors. Binbuster. Live from YouTube, it's Tuesday night, the call sign of the Binbuster YouTube channel. Once you hear this, you know you're about to embark on a journey through pop culture. movies, comics, and more. Buckle up and enjoy the ride every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. EST. Poppin' Cinema with JoeMama and friends. Showcasing the power of cinema, join JoeMama as he introduces different friends each week to a movie they have not seen before, popping their cinematic cherry as they talk about the movie they just watched every Tuesday at midnight.